America has a dog problem. Not just a stray dog problem. Not just an overbreeding problem. No, America's problem is far deeper and more grotesque. It's a cultural sickness, a worship of dogs that borders on lunacy. Let's dissect just how filthy, barbaric, and outright absurd this dog-obsessed culture is compared to the far more sensible approaches seen in Asian, Eastern European, and Muslim cultures. Americans, filthy cavemen clinging to dog worship. First, let's state the obvious. Americans treat dogs as deities disguised as housemates. From the moment you step into a city or suburb, you're greeted by the sight and smell of dogs defecating on every patch of public grass. Their owners dutifully pick it up with their bare hands inside thin plastic bags and carry it around as if it's some sacred offering. Where else in the world do people consider it normal to walk around holding steaming bags of feces? Let me be clear, this is not civilization. This is not hygiene. This is barbarism dressed up as domestication. The dog itself, a slobbering, bacteria-ridden animal, is already filthy. Now add to that the fact that its bodily waste is being carried around by people in public spaces. Cavemen were more hygienic than this. At least they kept animals outside and didn't parade their waste through marketplaces. Contrast this with Asian cultures. In many countries, dogs are not invited indoors or treated as family members. They are tools, functional animals meant to guard or herding. Westerners clutch their pearls at this idea. At least in Asian cultures, there's a pragmatic purpose to the relationship. The dog contributes to society through work. In America, they contribute nothing but endless waste and noise pollution. The mental midgets of American dog culture. Americans have been brainwashed by decades of media propaganda, turning them into what I can only describe as mental midgets when it comes to dogs. Disney, Hollywood, and Western TV have anthropomorphized dogs to the point of absurdity. Every cartoon and family sitcom features a dog as a talking, thinking, feeling character, often painted as more virtuous than the humans around it. The dog is always the loyal hero, the selfless protector, the misunderstood genius. It sighs dramatically, it whimpers cutely, and the camera zooms in as if we're meant to believe this slobbering beast is holding back profound thoughts. Even in real life, people project human emotions onto their dogs. Oh, he's sad today, they say. No, he's not sad. He's an animal with no capacity for complex emotions like humans. This relentless stream of anthropomorphism has deluded Americans into thinking their dogs are their children. They throw birthday parties for dogs. They buy them clothes, push them around in strollers, and some even leave inheritances to their pets. Meanwhile, actual human beings, children, the homeless, the elderly, are neglected and left to fend for themselves. This isn't compassion, it's insanity. Then, there is the monstrosity of breeding and owning dogs. And if this cultural worship wasn't bad enough, let's talk about how Americans twist and mutilate dogs in the name of so-called love. They breed them into mutant abominations, creating teacup sizes, blue Frenchies, and other useless animals that would never survive in any natural food chain. These creatures aren't dogs anymore. They're Frankenstein-like experiments bred for aesthetics or social status. What's the difference between this and slavery? Americans seem obsessed with the idea of owning something, and that something just has to be a mammal. They drag their poor pets around on leashes like shackled prisoners, calling it love. If we saw humans doing this to one another, we'd call it barbaric and inhumane. But with dogs, it's a billion-dollar industry. Love isn't strapping a collar around an animal's neck and dragging it through crowded streets. Love isn't breeding animals into deformity so they can fit in your purse or have Instagram-worthy fur colors. That's ownership, domination, and, frankly, a perverse desire to control a living being. If Americans truly loved dogs, they wouldn't enslave them in their homes, mutilate their genetics for vanity, or breed them into respiratory nightmares like pugs and French bulldogs. They'd respect dogs for what they are. Animals with specific purposes, not accessories, toys, or emotional crutches. Asian, Eastern European, and Muslim cultures. A rational approach. Compare this madness to Asian, Eastern European, and Muslim cultures, where dogs are treated with practicality and boundaries. In these societies, dogs are for work. In Eastern Europe, dogs guard homes, herd sheep, or help on farms. They are rarely, if ever, allowed inside the house. Their purpose is clear, and their role is respected, but not exaggerated. Dogs are for security. In Muslim-majority countries, dogs are often kept for guarding property or herding. They are not allowed to roam freely or sleep in the same spaces as humans due to religious and hygienic considerations. In these cultures, dogs have a defined, functional role, and they are treated as animals, not as surrogate children. They don't infest public spaces, they don't dine at restaurants, and they certainly don't receive human-level attention while actual humans are suffering. Cities infested by canine filth. The American city is a cesspool of dog worship. Dogs are everywhere, on sidewalks, in parks, in stores, even in restaurants. Their owners parade them around like trophies, letting them urinate on every available surface. Let's not even talk about the infamous dog-friendly cafes, where people bring their slobbering beasts into spaces where food is prepared and consumed. You wouldn't tolerate a rat or a pigeon in a restaurant, but because it's a dog, it's suddenly acceptable. Dog urine is soaked into every corner of every American city. It kills grass, stains concrete, and fills the air with its foul stench. And what about their feces? Even if picked up, it leaves behind bacteria and particles that linger in the environment. No other culture tolerates this level of filth in urban spaces. The American delusion. Americans have fallen for one of the greatest con jobs in history. The idea that dogs are anything more than animals. They've been brainwashed into elevating these creatures to human status, pouring billions of dollars into their care while human suffering goes ignored. They've traded hygiene, logic, and common sense for slobber, fur, and feces. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, Asia, Eastern Europe, and Muslim cultures, watches in bemusement as Americans spiral further into this dog-worshipping madness. These cultures understand what dogs are: animals with a purpose, not surrogate children, not human replacements, and certainly not heroes or family members. It's time for America to wake up, clean up its cities, and regain some semblance of sanity when it comes to dogs.